Hey guys, Jeff Schneider here. Today's topic is all about gear. Your mouthpiece, your reed, your saxophone. What's best? What should you be using? How do you know what you should be using? The thing is, the most question I get asked, thank you. The question I get asked most is, what kind of mouthpiece do you play on? What kind of reeds do you play on? What's your setup? So here's my setup. It's a Pillinger mouthpiece with a Hemke reed and a Mark 6, Selmer Mark 6 saxophone. Serial number is 111 and change. Here's the thing though. The gear doesn't matter that much. I'm sorry to say that the mouthpiece, the reed, the saxophone, it matters a little bit, but it's like to get you from like 99% to 100% of your potential. That other 99% is all about what you're doing with your embouchure, your air, your technique, all the hours of long tones that you've put in and overtones and all the sound exercises that are out there. It all comes down to the technique, and that's kind of a hard thing to swallow because gear is so cool and it's so fun to like try new things out. But the truth of the matter is it's all about your technique that really makes a difference. And the way I really like to prove the point is, in my lessons that I do in person, I'll have maybe a younger student with a saxophone setup that's, not quote unquote like super. Oh, I cut my finger, by the way. I'm okay. Don't worry. It's okay. So yeah, the saxophone setup that this younger student might be using or beginner is not it's not so professional. They don't have the super nice saxophone that costs thousands of dollars. But what I do? I pick up their saxophone with their mouthpiece and their reed, and I do it when I'm not sick. Don't worry. By the way, I'm feeling better. If anybody's wondering, I'm feeling better. So I pick up their saxophone and I play. And I pretty much sound the way I sound on my horn in my setup. I could take any saxophone and any mouthpiece and any reed and pretty much sound like myself. There's a video, I think, of Chris Potter out there, and he's trying out a bunch of different saxophones, and he picks up one horn and he plays on it and he sounds like Chris Potter. He picks up another horn, he sounds like Chris Potter. If you do enough practicing, you're going to sound like yourself no matter what instrument you're playing on, no matter what horn it is or mouthpiece. Now, all that being said, there are a couple of guidelines for when you do need to decide on a mouthpiece or a reed or a saxophone. For a saxophone, you need to feel comfortable with the mechanics of the horn. If it's really hard to play the notes, you don't need to be working that hard to be able to play a note. I mean, some of the older saxophones they're difficult to play because the ergonomics aren't so well laid out. But most saxophones these days work perfectly fine. But I want to talk more about mouthpiece and reed because that's the kind of magical thing that people don't really know what to decide upon. So what I like to focus on is resistance. When I play into a mouthpiece with a reed on it, is it too easy to blow? Is it too easy to make sound? Or is there too much resistance and it's really difficult to make sound? It just takes so much air to get any sound to come out at all. I think having a good balance between those two is what really counts. You don't want it to be too free blowing where if you just kind of blow on the reed, suddenly there's this huge sound, but you also don't want to be blowing your brains out with like a size 15 mouthpiece and be working so hard just to get any kind of a sound. I've tried to, I used to think that a bigger mouthpiece with a higher number reed was supposed to be better. Right? It's not true. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And that may change. You might feel comfortable with a 2.5 reed at one point, and then it's, at a certain point, your lips get stronger and you want to go to a 3. And that's totally fine, but don't feel like one's better than the other. I know plenty of professionals who play on 2.5s and then some who play on 4s, and it really doesn't matter. It's all about what's comfortable for you. So again, resistance is the key word there. You want to find that balance of having it be a little bit free blowing, but also having a little bit of room to kind of lean into and dig into the sound. And that might take a little bit of time to kind of figure out what works best for you. The reed mouthpiece combination, it takes a little bit of time to get that all sorted out. But once you figure it out, then you can kind of stick with it. The thing that you don't want to do is try a new mouthpiece every 6 months. Once you find one that pretty much works, it's all about dedicating yourself to it and not worrying so much about the gear like I was saying at the beginning of the video, but focusing rather on what you can do with your air and your embouchure and the space within your throat and your mouth. That's what really counts. And of course, there's a famous John Coltrane quote where I think he says something like, you can play a shoestring if you're sincere. The point is that no matter what the mouthpiece is, no matter what the reed, no matter what the saxophone, if you have the music, if you have the right music inside of you, it won't matter what that vehicle is for expressing it, you'll be able to get it out. The trick is just to find the gear that works best for you so that you don't have too many things kind of holding you back and getting in your way. So remember, resistance is the key word there for technically finding out what mouthpiece and reed is best for you. But don't worry too much about it, okay? Try some stuff out. And if you have questions about this, I know it's fun to talk about gear, and I get obsessed with it too at times. So if you guys want to chat about that, feel free to keep leaving comments and asking about it. That's totally fine. But I think it's an important conversation to have. Anyway, that's all. I've rambled a bit too much now. I'm going to let you guys go. See you next time. I'm Jeff Schneider. Bye.